I can see you.
Me as well. He must have taken care of that problem. Take two. Denver Broncos Mile High View. The only commercials are the ones that YouTube puts on that I can't get a dime or a red cent for. Neither can this man. And I'm sure the Broncos see some money from our channel. Ha, ha, ha. If I was to be a betting man and I could follow the money. But no bullshit like Bucket Man, you sent me this whole mock draft babbling on and on and on from Bronco Avenue. In my opinion, by listening to their chirping, it's like right out of the front office. It's like, and it's going to be the theme for this video is what have we gotten for 8 years of mismanagement of this organization? And anybody, if you want to listen to cheerleaders, you want to listen to people pom-poms waving, that's fine. Absolutely. But this ain't here. You've come to the wrong channel. If you want to listen to pie in the sky BS, there are plenty of channels out there for all this nonsense. And you just sent me a video, and I want to start off with this because I want to get into your analysis. But we did an 1 and 10-minute video yesterday, and they all for naught. It got put in the book of forgotten somehow. It didn't record. I'm looking at this thing recording right now, so that's what I saw yesterday too. He's seeing it.
Yep.
So hopefully the second time's a charm here. But what we discussed is we start out talking about your draft or your player draft analysis, player personnel. Some going to the Broncos, some we didn't think. We're just looking at players. But also we were talking about the Courtland Sutton deal. But overall, we were talking about the state of the Denver Broncos, the ruinous. We're going to go over this is going to be priceless. We're going to go over 7 years of bad management and why the Broncos are in a hole, deservingly in a hole. They did it to themselves. We're going to get into that, and I'm going to kick this off by talking about a mock draft video that you sent me. And these, I mean, well, just to put it this way, it was from the I don't know, the Broncos Avenue. Is that what? Broncos Avenue? I mean, it might as well come right out of the front office of 6 years of failed to deliver, I guess. And 1 year just getting worse than the other. And we're going to go over the picks, how they happen. It's really important. You have to understand where we are and the absolute hill that Sean Payton has to climb. And I was talking too about, I believe that what happened is that at the end of the year, the Penner, Walton, Walmart people got so much BS from the Ellis Elway group that at the end of the year, they said, how is it that you guys promised us the entire universe, and not only could you guys not hit the treetops, these two guys that live in their parents' basement knew more about this franchise than what you guys, the bill of goods you were selling us. Because we've always, who gave us that was Troy Aikman, because they sold him a bill of goods on the Broncos. That's what he said. So we've said that what the Broncos have done to mask their mismanagement is put PR out there. Just there's never been an organization as bad as the Denver Broncos that have been given so much hype about how great they're, just one something away from whatever, masking that mismanagement up. So in light of that, I want to start this off by, they also with this mock draft is they gave a disclaimer. They kept saying, well, this isn't really what's going to happen. It's really not what's going to happen. So we don't talk about maybes and possibles and and fantasies, and we're not a knitting circle of old lady knitting circle here. We're trying to give you the facts as we see them, what the film says, what the track record of the organization is, where we are, Sean Payton coming in. So what I believe is what happened was the Penner Group said to the Elway front office, you sold us a bill of goods, and I think that they felt that they needed to hear a second opinion, like the second opinion of a doctor. That was first to go out and get Harbaugh. That was the first, and that they couldn't muster that up because Harbaugh's got a good track record of putting staff together. So Sean Payton was obviously the Walter Penner Group needed to get like I said, that second opinion. And what was brought up also in this is something we brought up, and we made it a point to bring up, was Sean Payton looking at the film and like, and then they were like so confused, like, why don't they worship? Why doesn't he worship the ground worship the ground? That tight end they got, the ground he walked, Dulcich. I don't understand why he doesn't work. I don't get it. And it's like, you just said that he prefers blocking. He runs a certain scheme. He's not going to run the way I see it, because that language tells me he is not, and what he's doing, he is not going to run whatever it is that they thought they were doing last year. So Sean Payton, I think, told them what's going on. They needed to get rid of these. They need draft picks is what they need. And it's, why get, when they look at receivers who can't even block, can't get to the second level, it's easy to want to pawn one of them off. But what really struck me about this, I mean, if you really want to listen to bad information, that's a great place to go get bad information. Because once this guy said that the Raiders were going to give us all these draft picks if we give up our third, well, let's wait a minute, because the Raiders are so bad. If the Raiders, and I don't like preaching the gospel of the Raiders or the virtues of the Raiders, but I just got to tell it like it is, the way it is, one way or the other. The Raiders have, if they're so stupid, they have 12 picks. They have 12 fucking picks. And if you think they're going to give one pick to the Broncos for a third round when they have 2 third rounds, you must have went out there to the hooch, the medical hooch, whatever it is out there selling the pot, the hopium or whatever it is that you're smoking. The Raiders aren't going to give you jack shit. You got 5 fucking picks. Raiders aren't going to gift you another 5 picks. This guy was rattling on and on, like Broncos had, like, you're going to have 10 picks. And it's like, no. Now, I could see the Broncos and Sean Payton trading a third round for maybe 2 more picks, maybe a 5th and a 4th and a 5th or something like that, maybe a 4th and a 6th. But that may be the best you get, for that third round. I don't know. Do third rounds really garner that much? I know a second round would, but does a third round really garner that much? They're not going to get 5 picks for it.
Well, it just depends on, the trade assets that you're going to give them, because, third round picks, a lot of teams value those. And to your point,
how much? I know they value it, but how much do they value?
A lot of teams value third round picks. They, a lot of the teams that we talk about, the Eagles, the Bills, the Chiefs, all the above, they use those 3rd, 4th, 5th round picks to, build the foundation of their team. They like to build the depth of their team. So,
well, let me ask you this: why the fuck would the Raiders? They got 2 third round picks. They got so many needs to fill. Why would they give all up 5 picks for a third round? That just makes no. I know that they don't give me they're the Raiders. I mean, this may even for them doesn't make any sense. To the Broncos?
Well, the person that you're talking about, Broncos Avenue, that we trade 1 third round pick for, that's not how the management in the NFL, especially when it comes to GMs and all that, that's not how it works. You might want to go back and, do some more research on how it works, because that's not how they wheel and deal in the NFL. That's number one. Number two, well, you still got to hit on those picks. You can have all the draft picks in the world, but you have to get the picks right. That's number two.
Well, in a team organization that has now a 7-year history of not doing very good on these, and we're going to go through them, is yours truly, right? The Denver Broncos.
Yeah. And, like I said, you can't, give up a 3rd round pick and get 5 draft. I mean, that's not how it works. I mean, it's frustrating because, I do a bunch of research, and I understand how it works, and it's just sad to see people spewing it out that,
misinformation. You want to talk about misinformation? It's just by the bucketful.
I did my own video. I put the link in the description in our last video. And I said, a lot of these people, say that they do the film. Okay. And this goes into draft, the draft film, the all 22. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, it's a slap in the face to people like myself, to people like you, to the bubble man, Mile High Bubble, who's going to start doing it. It's a slap in the face to all 3 of us and a few people outside that actually do this for a living, that actually take time to do this, especially myself. And then you tell your audience, I just don't like lying. I don't like when you lie to your audience. We already have enough of that in our world today. And when you're sitting up there looking at a camera and just lying to your audience that, oh, we could just give a 3rd round pick and get 5 picks back from the Raiders. In what world does that make sense? That might make sense in Madden 23, but that doesn't make sense in the real world. And so I just don't think.
Well, it's creating hopium.
Yeah, and that's fine. You want to put out highlight reels and that's your hopium. That's perfectly fine with me. I don't care. But at the end of the day, scouts, GMs, coaches, all the above do not use highlight reels to base their opinions on players. They use the all 22 to critique players, to come up with game plans against their opponents each and every week, and to critique and to evaluate players. They don't use you really think that Bill Belichick uses highlight reels to evaluate players?
Well, what did Mark Schlereth and Derek Wolf say about PFF stats?
They don't have any context around them.
Yeah, so they're basically useless unless you look at the film. And you were talking in your last film, I thought that one really a major point was they love to talk about tackles, but they don't like to talk about in what context are these tackles in. Are they picking on like Justin Simmons? Are they always throwing to that side of the field and he has to go and chase down people that, he wasn't covering, and Josie Jewell, he's got all these coverage sacks because they're picking on him relentlessly, which they do. I mean, all we did all last 2 years was show how he gets picked on, 3, I guess, because he was injured for 1. But yeah, it's just it's open season in the middle of the field for the Denver Broncos. Great, they're tackling people way downfield. Are you tackling? Oh, okay. Say you had tackles, on the other side of the line of scrimmage. Okay, you've got sacks, right? You got people tackle behind the line of scrimmage. That may be something. That may be something you want to look at. But, you've got 10 tackles at, 20 yards past the line of scrimmage. It's, again, because people, I think what it is I think fantasy football also brought this about. Because it's a lot easier to sit there and just look at numbers with no context behind it and assume what you're looking at is what you think you're looking at. Does that sound right?
Well, also, yeah, I completely agree with that assessment. I think also the people are so enamored by stats without context. They're so enamored by highlights. I think that's taken away from people that actually, take a deep dive into the film, look at the bigger picture, because, when you put out highlight reels, that masks something that is a much bigger problem, in my personal opinion. You can't put out 2022, 2023 highlights and say to yourself, oh, that makes Justin Simmons a top 5 safety when he's going against bad quarterbacks and they're clipped throughout the year to make Justin Simmons look good. No, what I do, this man, Bubble Man, all the above, and GMs, and even Sean Payton did it. What we do is we look at the all 22 film, a wider scope of things to really understand what is going on. Are they attacking, like you said, are they attacking Justin Simmons' side of the field? Is that raising Justin Simmons' tackling stats? See, they don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about that. And when we get into these 6 years, and I want to talk more about this draft as well, because I'm going to do, okay. I am going to do a mock draft of what I would do if I was the Denver Broncos, and a realistic mock draft of what the Denver Broncos should do and what I could see Sean Payton doing. I'm not going to do this trade to the Raiders a 3rd-round pick and get 5 picks back. No, I'm not going to. Not going to.
Like what planet? I call it Planet Front Office.
Yeah, that's
Planet Front. Elway's front office that lives in it's complete the Bronco Asylum. I mean, welcome to the Bronco Asylum. Go ahead.
No, absolutely. Welcome to the Broncos Asylum. The Broncos run the asylum. Just like,
that front office that Elway put together, that's still there, still intact, that Sean Payton has like wrapped around his neck still.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like an albatross.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So, and speaking of the front office of the Denver Broncos, now they had to get rid of the cancer. I mean, they had no choice. Now, as a disclaimer, his name's still in the staff directory, but I will say, as a disclaimer, they do take forever to get rid of to upgrade their website as far as staff is concerned. But I am going to be concerned if I still see his name once the season starts. I'll be gravely concerned. It needs to be that name needs to be removed from there.
Well, I'm going to be concerned if I see that after the draft still.
Okay, well, it takes some. I've noticed it's.
No. I'm not. Nope. They're
okay. I'm giving them.
So great.
I'm giving
hold
them.
Hold on. They're so great at PR, then they need to get on that. If they're so great at PR, then they need to get on that.
Oh, I know. Well, yeah. Well, this is a team that's worried about its image. It's totally worried about its image. That's why this Courtland Sutton deal. And we'll talk about this Courtland Sutton deal here. If you listen to your Locked On, your Avenues, all of the above, the Mile High Bubble out there of Sports Illustrated. From their point of view, it was the Broncos. It simply just turned. They didn't want to trade him. Well, I find it very interesting that they wanted to trade him but didn't want to trade him. What I think obviously happened was, of all the teams that you didn't want to deal with, the Raiders would be the team you'd want to deal with, not the Ravens, because Ravens only have, just like the Denver Broncos, they only have 5. They don't have anything. So the Broncos, get a hold of the Ravens. The Ravens get a hold of them. They're talking about the first round. The Broncos won a first round, obviously, for Courtland Sutton. They're never going to get it. I believe they would have took a second round had the Ravens had 6 picks and said, look, we'll use our 6th pick to bring in Courtland Sutton. I could see that being plausible. Okay. But there's no way they were going to give that first round to the Denver Broncos. And that's really what happened, why the deal went down. You have Beckham Jr. on the back burner here. Obviously, he's a year removed because of injury. So they're not exactly sweating it, If they can get Broncos to be stupid and, maybe they would give up maybe they'd give up their 3rd, for him. No. And just like the Raiders, why would the Raiders give up a 3rd when they got 2 of them? No. For a bunch of picks? No. It doesn't even compute in any universe. So from the Ravens' point of view, it wasn't a matter of the Broncos snubbing them. They just weren't going to give up their first round pick. Nobody was going to give up their first round pick for Courtland. Nobody. So they're stuck. The only thing now I think that they can do is trade down, and maybe with one of their 3rds and get a couple, maybe 2 more picks. And maybe you have a different point of view that they'll get a whole bunch of picks. I don't see it for a 3rd round. I can see 2 picks, but I don't see, anything more than that. But with that said, God, I was going to get into the front office. I was listening to that stupid Avenue, whatever nonsense, and everything they said. I want to make this a point. Now, aren't they the same people? Them and Locked On and Bubble, and we call Mile High Huddle. Originally, we called it Mile High Bubble because everybody's in a bubble saying the same thing.
Yep.
So just to clarify, so if you listen to their mock draft, first thing, corner. What does that remind me of? Oh, reminds me of 7 years. Okay. What was the next one? Edge. What's their third pick? Receiver. So what that tells me is that's the front office speaking, wanting to do the same exact thing they've been doing for almost going on 7 years. And we're going to go through the whole thing and the failures of these people. Now, I want to ask you, if they need a corner, didn't they address that last draft? And edge rushing, didn't they do a whole revamp and sign a guy? So what they're telling me is they lied to me about the 5th best defense.
Mm-hmm.
They obviously don't have the 5th best defense. They obviously didn't get it right with Baron Browning and the signing of Gregory. That's what they're telling me. And what am I supposed to be, just with my feet like this for another fucking year? I think this is where Payton's going to come in. And I think this is going to shake it up. And I think people are listening to us because apparently, according to that Avenue, whatever. Oh, you all want a center. Yeah, who's been saying this? Who's been saying that? Who's been the anti 7 years Elway as usual front office? Who out here has been doing? Oh, that's me and you, right? Imagine that.
Well, I just want to clarify a few points here. They can do what they want. They're
sure, absolutely.
If they want to, if people want to continue to be lied to and go along with the bullshit for, if you want to continue to do that, Broncos Avenue is open door season. I mean, my God, it's for you. But if you want, and you know what, I'm getting sick and tired of people telling me and this man and the bubble man that, oh, it's not breaking news that the offensive line sucks.
It should be for them. Not to us.
For 7 years, you've been telling your audience and us that you call us idiots, saying that our offensive line is good enough.
Good enough. We heard 7 years of good enough.
I don't hear anybody talking about the defensive line. The only people that talk about the defensive line are you and me. I don't hear anybody talking about that.
Yes, and we were talking about that yesterday when we tried to do this. We said, if you want to, and you brought this up, if you want to help the corners out, the edges out, we need to get ourselves a Chris Jones,
a Kenny
type
Clark
of a player, Malik Jackson type of a player that can get that push up the middle to hurry those quarterbacks. All we did was show film. Again, film. The series of
let's clarify the all 22 film.
Well, we showed series. We showed series. The offensive series of the other
back to back.
We showed the offensive series of the other team where the quarterback during these so-called great edge. Oh crap! She did it again. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You're frozen.
Okay. I'll just let her keep doing this. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I swear to God, man, it just doesn't end. So anyway, am I back?
You're back.
Hopefully. Okay, I gotta see. Okay, we're still recording.
Yeah, we're recording.
I swear to God, man, this person just ruins the whole thing. I'm going to let you talk. I may go and just try to put this fire out. I'm just so done with it.
Okay, so go ahead. Go.
God, what was I saying? Damn it. What was I saying? I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm just constantly being like, I can't get, and it's not just this. It's like I'm working on, I can't get left alone. Okay, go ahead.
No, you were talking about series with the film. You were
Oh,
talking.
yeah. What we saw is that every time we saw that the quarterback would step up because there's no push up the middle, and they would complete the pass, usually on Justin Simmons' side of the field, at least 70% of the time, or they would go after the linebacking because the linebacking cannot cover. And it's another problem we've said that they're totally ignoring.
Yep.
And it'll all be Vance Joseph's fault, even though there's a reason Edgerro left. You know, yeah. Why do you guys keep saying? Yeah, we keep saying it because now you finally caught up with us about the offensive line.
Yeah, we were years ahead. That's the problem here. We were years ahead of you guys, and now you're finally catching up. So now we have to continue to tell you folks that there's a bigger problem here. There's just
keep going. I'm going to go let you go about the bigger problem, and I'll get back to you here.
Well, the bigger problem is the front office. That's the problem here. Elway still has his people in that front office, and Elway still has, scouts in that front office that, quite frankly, haven't really done anything. You guys will, cheerlead the Patrick Surtain pick, but at the end of the day, Patrick Surtain is Patrick Surtain is he really a difference maker on that defense? Is he a difference maker on that defense? I would rather, and this is me personally, I would rather have a great defensive line and a great offensive line because that's going to help out your receiving core. That's going to help out your quarterback. That's going to help out your tight ends. That's going to help out your running backs. That's going to help out anything on that offense. And the defensive line especially. The defensive line is going to help out your corners. The defensive line is going to help out your edge rushers, your middle linebackers, your safeties, all the above. This narrative that's been going around for 7-8 years about how to build from the outside in. Look how that's turned out for the Denver Broncos. It's turned out to be an absolute shit show. And every time they say that, they still can't get the picks right in free agency, trading, and or the draft. They still cannot get that right. When they say, we want to build from the outside in, Justin Simmons, showing highlight reels isn't going to convince me that he's a top 5 safety. When Trace McSorley throws it right at him, when Tyler,
there's a reason why his own peers will not vote him into the Pro Bowl. There's a reason for that, and that reason you can see on the All 22.
And you can see on the All 22 again. This whole narrative with Patrick Surtain. I would have rather picked Rashawn Slater because I believe Rashawn Slater would have made a bigger difference than Patrick Surtain. They were still able to throw on Patrick Surtain. Patrick Surtain is strictly a boundary corner. If you watch the All 22, he's not a champ baby. He doesn't go to the slot. He doesn't go on the opposite side of the field. He strictly stays on one side of the field. He is no Champ Bailey. Okay, he is a better version of Antonio Cromartie, which Patrick Surtain is a good player. Do I think he is a great player? No, I don't think he is a great player. I think you could have got a way better player in Rashawn Slater. I think Rashawn Slater would have actually helped out your offensive line. You could have had a Rashawn Slater, a Ben Powers, a Quentin Miners at center, a Jordan Rhodes, a Jawan Taylor. That's how I would have done it. But you guys don't think that long ahead. You guys think about the right now. And then the sheer fact that we have scouts in this front office, that I have a 7-year bucket list of these scouts getting pick after pick after pick after pick wrong. And then you get rid of the coaches that a Quentin Miners was drafted by a certain Mike Munchak, and then a Curtis Mockins that I believe that was a Javonte Williams draft pick by Curtis Mockins. You run them out of town, and then they regress.
Well, look at Dalton Reisner. I mean,
Well, because they went through so many systems that hampered his development, and that's why he's still a free agent. And I told you guys that he wasn't going to get picked up right away. I said Dalton Reisner isn't the player that he was coming out of college because he has.
They hampered his development. They hampered it.
That's what the Broncos do. They hamper player development.
And why do they do that? Because they keep bringing in players and changing the system on them, and you got a whole bunch of players in a mismatch.
And I think that's where Sean Payton is also going to put an axe on that, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I think again, I cannot underestimate his first hire was Zach. I believe that is a very important hire that I don't think he's going to get run out of town. There's a reason why I believe he was the first hire. And I think that Sean Payton sees something in Zach Strife. I see something in Zach Strife. I think that there's something with Zach Strife. And there's a reason why Ben Powers came here. Ben Powers said one of the main reasons he came here was Sean Payton, but Zach Strife. Zach Strife was an important influence of a guy like Ben Powers, who's a top guard in this game.
Yes.
Why he came to Denver. Same with Mike McGlinchey. Whether I don't like the money we gave him, but Mike McGlinchey also said one of the big reasons he came here was because of Sean Payton and Zach Strife. So, again, this isn't a this has a lot to do, I believe, with Sean Payton and Zach Strife building an offense around the running game. And I think getting Zach Strife as his first hire, again, even you have to admit, you can't underestimate how important that first hire was. You and I were so ecstatic that was his first hire.
Yeah, you could have heard a pin drop from the other people. And then you had Cecil Lammey saying how horrible it was. Because I believe that's how the front office felt about it. Because I think those people are totally tied to that Elway's usual front office.
And there's a reason why I believe, and with these pre-draft visits, they've shown something to me. That one of their first pre-draft visits was Jordan Rhodes out of Arkansas State. What does that tell you? And then they go out and they look at two tight ends, a Luke Musgrave from Oregon State, my apologies. And then they go to look at Luke Brottenberger from Michigan. They're both blocking tight ends.
Yeah. And so what is the front office crowd out there? What do they say? Oh, they're going to go get that 6'8", 6'9", whatever he is, tight end that lacks the physicality and can't block. Again, that same 6-year mentality, it's not going to happen. I just think it's a waste of time just listening to that. Why don't you go ahead and go through the 7 years? Because I got to take care of.
Well, I want to talk about what Sean Payton has done this offseason, and I'm going to wait for you to get back, and I'll talk about other stuff so we can get through this together, because I think you and I have key points that we need to talk about. So I'll let you get to that, and then I'll talk about other things. And then when you get back, we can get through.
Okay, you're going to talk about Sean Payton and what he is bringing.
Okay, all right. So
and plus, you should talk about the mountain the guy's got to climb and overcome.
Absolutely. The Sean Payton has a huge mountain to climb. He has one of the biggest mountains to climb that I've ever seen for a head coach in this league. When you look at Sean Payton and the importance that Mickey Loomis and Jeff Ireland had, getting guys like Ryan Ramczyk, Cesar Uriz, Eric McCoys, Marshawn Lattimore, the corner from Ohio State. I'm not saying that Marshawn Lattimore is a great corner, but he's like Patrick Surtain. He is a good corner. He is a good, solid corner. I think that Marshawn Lattimore has a little bit more elusiveness to his game than a guy like Patrick Surtain. But getting back to the point at hand, when it comes to that big mountain to climb, you have 5 draft picks. 5 draft picks, ladies and gentlemen. The Denver Broncos won't be drafted until day 2 and 3. Okay, that's how draft-ridden we are of draft picks, okay? And you still got to get those draft picks right. Sean Payton still has to get those draft picks right. I have a little bit reservations because we don't have a Jeff Ireland in that front office. We don't have a Mickey Loomis in that front office. And that's what scares me, and that's why it's a wait-and-see approach for me. Because when you have a influencer of a Mickey Loomis who grew up being a scout, Jeff Ireland being a scout, and how important that was to Sean Payton. I think Sean Payton has taken a lot of those principles over here to Denver, getting guys like a Ben Powers. I'm not a big fan of the Mike McGlinchey move. I think the Mike McGlinchey move is one of those moves that I don't think fits the Sean Payton system, and I believe they overpaid for him. And even Mike Kliss said if they waited a day, they didn't have to overpay for him. I think bringing in guys like Chris Manhertz, bringing in guys like Michael Burton's, they are going to pound the rock. I believe they're going to be a big physical unit up front if they draft a center or guard in this draft that is a big physical mauler a la Jordan Rhodes. And you're seeing that with the pre-draft visits. You're seeing that with this offseason. Sean Payton is building an identity in Denver when it comes to smash mouth football and throwing from the running game. And I think that's something that Russell Wilson needs to get better at, is those quick reads. Those quick reads, because that's something Russell Wilson has struggled at. We did the all-22 film review last year showing that, where he locks on the receivers, and he was the most sacked quarterback in the league for a reason. So these moves, and I was telling the audience before you came back, Chopped Liver, that what scares me about this draft is you don't have a Mickey Loomis in there. You don't have a Jeff Ireland in there. He is surrounded by all this John Elway toxicity. Sorry.
That it's really toxic. It is that toxic.
Yeah, it's really toxic. I believe it's going to be a two-man show. I think it's going to be Zach Strife and Sean Payton in that draft room. And
well, I have to think that part of the stipulation to get what's his face, Vance Joseph, to come back, he probably wants to say in at least a draft pick. Yeah,
but let me ask you this question: did Isaiah Simmons develop under a Vance Joseph? That Zaven Collins? I think Zaven Collins could have had more. He could have done a lot more. It's just that's the problem with Vance. I think Vance Joseph can eye talent. I just don't think he can develop it, and that's the problem with Vance Joseph. And
well, look what he's up against. Look what he's up against here.
It doesn't matter what he's up against. I don't.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Okay, well, you can say that all you want, but
I am, because he's already bad. It's just going to be even worse because of it.
You don't have the scouts. You don't have a Mickey Loomis and Jeff Ireland above a Sean Payton. Okay, Sean Payton is going against all these toxic individuals in that front office. All the scouts that are still there. So I just it's a wait and see approach for me. I want to see what they do with these third round picks, because they have 2 third round picks, and I want to see how they use them. If they're going to go get a corner and a running back, that is going to tell me right there that the John Elway influence is still in that building. And I don't care what you say. I'm not going to wait till the 4th or 5th round for them to get my guy.
I have to tell you, I will be shocked if that happens. I will be totally shocked, because I honestly, I know Sean Payton is running this show, and he knows. I mean, it's not just looking at the film, dude. It's looking at what has gone on these last 7 years to put the Broncos where they are right now.
Okay, is Mike McGlinchey a Sean Payton move?
Well, what did McGlinchey say? He said that I only came here because of those 2 guys.
Okay, let me ask you this:
but
is that contract a Sean Payton move?
Of course not. The contract, how they went about getting him, it's all that mismanagement.
And I don't
6 years.
He is a Sean Payton move, and here's why. He could say that he came here because of Sean Payton and Zach. I believe Sean Payton is into younger drafting and developing tackles, and you saw that with Ryan Ramczyk and why he is so good at his job.
Oh, Ryan Ramczyk, I just want to say, you saw that the front office and their PR machine was doing backflips, trying to explain how Garrett Bowles was at the time was so much better than Ramczyk, and Garrett Bowles has only been good because it got to a point where the refs just and other teams got fed up with watching.
Forget about Mike Munchak either. Don't forget about the influence he had.
The influence of Mike Munchak, yes. But I think it was more that the refs just stopped calling Garrett Bowles. And it got to a point where we had fans from other teams putting film together of Garrett Bowles like clotheslining and tackling everybody that was going uncalled. So,
well, and now,
I don't believe that he is. Well, and here you go again. This is what I found really interesting is that one of the Kirkland, I think you did a film on a guy named Kirkland, was his name. He was a tackle who got a severe ankle injury like Garrett Bowles, and they put him to guard to kind of alleviate, because again, you're going to get Garrett Bowles coming back on that ankle playing tackle.
Where did he go to? He went to the Chiefs.
No, that was the guy from Jacksonville you're talking about, right?
Juan Taylor. But no, Jackson Kirkland from Washington went to the Chiefs. The Chiefs drafted him.
Oh, yeah. And so we just got a comment the other day, and his film looks so bad. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Okay. Whatever you say. Whatever you say.
Just like Tristan Wirfs was bad, just like Rashawn Slater was bad. Oh my God, all the shit I got for Rashawn.
Yeah, because this is the front office talking, who can't get nothing right. Yeah, why don't you go through the front office? Why don't you go through? The Denver Broncos are a 5 and whatever team, 5-12 team for a reason. Okay, Sean Payton, this is a much more difficult situation than when he stepped into New Orleans, because he's got a front office that just wants to cut you off at the knees every chance they get and keep hitting you with corners and edge rushers and bad picks on top of that. And anyway, just go ahead. Let's go through this history of why we are where we are at.
Okay, so this was the 2022 off season, and I got 20. We're gonna go backwards to 2017. So, quarterback Russell Wilson was a free agent move / trade. Josh Johnson didn't last the whole year in Denver. He went to the 49ers. Billy Turner. What did I say about Billy Turner when we signed him? He has lower body problems, knee problems. Oh, okay. How'd that turn out?
Like always, like everything turns out.
You could have signed him 27.
Well, you had another pick. You had somebody already designated.
No. But I'm just saying you could have re-signed Billy Turner 4 or 5 years ago and then drafted a tackle and developed him under Billy Turner.
Yeah, with Elway as usual, you don't do that. You swing for the fences, whatever the fuck that means. No, and you just go get names and has-beens and different systems.
I guess swinging for the fences is getting Russell Wilson and Jarrell Cate. We're going to get into that later. Tom Compton, who didn't even play, barely. DJ Jones, you and I like DJ Jones a lot. I'm a big fan of DJ Jones. I was high on the move when we signed him. Here we go again. Randy Gregory, we gave him a massive deal to sit in the hot tub a la Juwan James. He doesn't fit a 3-4 defense. He fits a 4-3 defense. That's what he played at the University of Nebraska under Bo Pelini. He was a hand in the dirt, 5-tech in a 4-3. That's what he was in Dallas. Did the Dallas Cowboys miss Randy Gregory at all?
No. They were glad to see him go.
Exactly.
Exactly the reason we're dealing with him right now. Exactly the same reason.
And I can't wait for him to be gone because he doesn't fit this system. I like Randy Gregory, just not as a 3-4 linebacker. And he's injury prone. Alex Singleton. See, and signing Alex Singleton to that 3-year deal just tells me good enough with Josie Jewell. And they're not
it's even good. Yeah, the linebacking, like the offensive line, just good enough.
For 8 years.
It's gonna get picked on again.
You had it with Kenny Young and Baron Browning. We're going to get into that later, too. Kwan Williams was inconsistent, like I said he was, coming from San Fran. He's a 33. He is a 33-year-old corner. I mean,
that's why they got to draft a corner.
Dude, you're going to be
going. They got to draft a corner.
Yeah. Okay, Broncos Avenue. All right.
Well, wasn't Mathis wasn't that the solution?
Hold on, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into your boy Mathis here. Okay, so the first pick, and we drafted this guy over Travis Jones. Nick Burrito. Nick
Oh,
Bonito.
yeah, I'm high on Nick Burrito. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Front office all the way. Front office.
How'd that pick turn out? How'd that pick turn out for the Denver Broncos? Oh, okay. Yeah. Looks like shit. Greg Dulcich, who everybody was saying was going to be better than Travis Kelce, and he was going to be a Hall of Fame tight end.
Well, Travis Kelce can throw a block once in a while.
If he wants to.
Yeah, if he wants to.
Okay, so your boy, Damari Mathis, corner from Pittsburgh, who I believe is
we got Damari Mathis, man.
I think Damari Mathis is a better safety than a corner. That's my personal opinion.
You got to put him out of position.
Just like Michael Ojemudia.
Because we got a safety that should be out the door, clogging up the yeah.
Okay, so defensive tackle out of Iowa State, who I think is a good depth piece for the Denver Broncos. Uzurike, who's 6'6", 315 pounds around that.
Well, how did they do? What did they do with him?
Oh, they didn't really utilize him at all.
Ends up on the practice squad.
Yeah. Oh, God, this pick. Safety, Delaney Turner-Yell.
Everything I need to learn about is being a safety, I learned from Justin Simmons.
Yeah, totally. Kick returner, Montreal, Washington. And then center out of Washington, who I'm actually, who I think is a good swing offensive lineman in the interior, Luke Wattenberg. I think he's a good depth piece.
Keep going.
All right. So, and then they got Matt Hennessy. Well, everybody likes to give me shit about that. I think Matt Hennessy is a good rotational defensive.
Matt Hennessy.
Well, let me just tell you this, gentlemen. You guys don't show me stats. Go show me the film. I think him and Uzurike are good, solid depth foundational pieces for your defensive line. So before you attack me on Matt Hennessy and Uzurike, you might want to go watch the film first and make a judgment on that before you start putting out.
The problem is they wouldn't know what they're looking at.
Yeah, well, of course they don't know what they're looking at. That's why
they wouldn't know what they were looking at.
Out. Okay, this was something that I wanted to talk to you about. There's an article on this. Hold on one second. There's an article on here that I wanted to read to you specifically and to the, mental midgets out there. The Broncos had plans to select Justin Fields with the 9th overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, but things changed when the Aaron Rodgers news surfaced from Mark Schlereth and Adam Scheffler when I called complete bullshit at the time. Denver suddenly became the front runner to land the future Hall of Fame quarterback, so it altered the draft plans and neglected to take a quarterback at all. Rodgers, of course, remained in Green Bay in 2021.
Well, you know what's interesting about that at the time?
Denver was hoping to land Rodgers this offseason as well, only to have their plans this word throttled once more. Unwilling to settle for another season with miserable quarterbacking, Denver pulled the trigger on a trade for Russell Wilson. That looked absolutely dog shit.
Yeah. Now, let me say something. You said Justin Fields, but what we knew coming out of those close to the front office is that John Elway wanted the guy that ended up going to San Francisco. What's that guy? That quarterback?
Trey Lance.
That's the one John Elway wanted, was Trey Lance.
Post put it out there that he wanted Trey Lance.
But that San Francisco in no way was going to give that to John Elway.
Okay, so this is the...
And we got that right, too. He said that they won't do that.
No, of course they wouldn't do that. Okay, so this is the 2021 offseason for the Denver Broncos. Teddy Bridgewater. You and I are big fans of Teddy Bridgewater. I think in the Sean Payton system, when he went 10-1 as a starter behind that great offensive line with those great weapons around him and a great system that fit his strengths, you could have had something with Teddy Bridgewater. But, of course, you decided to neglect that and go overpay for a quarterback. And look how that turned out. Didn't it win?
Well, and we're still not out of the water with Russell Wilson.
No, that contract is just...
Well, that's one. I'm not even talking about the contract. Let's just put that off to the side. Let's talk about the quarterback. He has got to be able to start reading. If he doesn't get he hasn't
been able to read the field throughout his career, buddy. We've done film review on that, and we have Seattle fans that have said the same thing.
Yes. So it's a hill to climb.
Mike Boone, who we signed. I think Mike Boone, when healthy and when given the opportunity, I think was a very good player. But, again, injuries derailed him and didn't get the opportunities. Bobby Massey, another aging right tackle that was here for a year. Brett Jones, center, was a depth piece and didn't really do anything. He was an aging center. Defensive tackle Shamari Stephen didn't do anything at all for the Denver Broncos.
No.
He was an aging defensive lineman. And
yeah,
then
they love Elway just loved getting those has-beens used to be retreads.
Yeah. And then Kyle Fuller, the corner, when I said that was probably the worst move of the offseason, getting Kyle Fuller, because I saw that he was past his prime.
You know what? I did a whole video on this. I called it Elway's used car lot, of retread clunkers.
Yeah. And then your guy, Ronald Darby, who I was a big fan of Ronald Darby.
Well, Ronald Darby's great when he's healthy.
Yeah, when healthy, that's the problem. So now let's get into these draft picks. So we picked Patrick Surtain over Sean Slater. Okay. Javonte Williams. I think Javonte Williams was a Curtis Mockins pick.
Curtis Mockins, yeah.
Quentin Miners, I believe that was a Mike Munchak pick.
Yep.
Aaron Browning, I believe that was a Vic Fangio pick. I think Vic Fangio envisioned him being an inside linebacker.
That's why they picked him up. By the way, I'm still waiting for our detractors.
They won't.
On all platforms to show us the Baron Browning outside linebacker tape. We're still waiting for that.
Not highlight reels, the film.
Yeah, the film.
Not highlights. And then safety.
I haven't even seen a highlight.
Yeah. And then safety, Caden Stearns from Texas, who I think is a very good up-and-coming player.
Well, it's another wasted pick because you got the ambassador to the Broncos ambassador to the NFL taking that slot.
Who looked better? When Justin Simmons was out for those games, did we miss him at all?
No.
I made a point about that on my last video that we didn't miss him at all. And Caden Stearns actually was more instinctual than Justin Simmons was.
Absolutely. We showed that in the film. You saw him actually bait a quarterback into throw.
Great play. He made a great play against the Cowboys. He instinctually read it and jumped the route. I have never seen Simmons do that. Never.
No, never.
Okay, so that's the 2021 offseason.
Very rare.
Are we still recording? Okay, yes, we are. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
I have to double check. Okay, so 2022 offseason. Okay, quarterback Jeff Driscoll, Melvin Gordon, Nick Van Nett. Nick Van Nett, after he was cut by the Broncos, actually went to New Orleans, and Sean Payton used him just like what I believe they're going to use Chris Manhurst as, is that blocking, physical tight end. And that's
remember all the shit we got for not wanting Gordon?
Oh, I know.
From the very people that later wanted to run him out of town. Told us how wrong we were. Oh, no, you people don't know anything. Same people ended up saying what we said. We shouldn't have brought him in, but don't listen to us.
That's Elway for you. Offensive tackle DeMar Dotson, another aging right tackle who played a year here. Graham Glasgow, who I think was a disappointment, and we overpaid for him too. And then isn't it funny that they restructured his contract without a coach here? We said that last year.
Because that was the front office. Yeah, they working behind any coach's back who would end up coming here.
And the great Drill Casey.
Well, not just the receivers. Now Sean Payton, they worked behind his back, even though it was long before he got here. But by not anyway, it's just that's why we're in the situation. This is why we're doing this. Explain why we're in the situation we're in right now with only 5 draft picks at a 5 and 11, a 5 and 12 team with only 5 draft picks.
We're in cap hell as well.
Yeah, we're heading for even a bigger storm.
Dead cap hell. Dead cap hell.
Dead cap hell. Next exit.
Jarrell Casey.
Again, we didn't know what we were talking about. No.
Yeah. He got hurt, and even Titans fans said he should have retired.
Yeah.
And we traded for this guy.
Yes. Because Elway's always swinging for the retreads. Swinging for the retreads.
AJ Boye. I believe the best move of that whole offseason was a punter, Sam Martin. Yeah, you can do that all you want, but it's true.
They tried to get him to change his punting style.
Well, that's not.
They couldn't even leave that alone.
That's somebody we're going to get into later here. Okay, so these are the draft picks during that year. Jerry Jeudy, who we picked over Tristan Wirfs. KJ Hamler, injury prone, but when healthy has very good separation ability, and the film shows that.
Yes, absolutely. But, I have to admit that our detractors were right about this injury bug's getting a little old, but go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael Ojemudia, the corner, who, again, stuck.
What?
Corner.
Where?
Yeah. Well, no, I believe, again, the same thing goes with Damari Mathis. You didn't move him to center, my apologies, safety, and try that out. You didn't. That's why I think Mathis and Ojemudia were underutilized here because
you can't move him to safety because this guy up there, the ambassador, is clogging up the whole position.
Okay, the great Lloyd Cushenberry. Oh my God. Okay, and this guy
is good enough. Just good enough.
This guy that I'm going to talk about isn't even on the team anymore. McTelvin Agim. A defensive tackle. He's with the Colts now. And then you have tight end Albert O, who, again, I believe you had Noah Fant and Albert O as your tight ends. And again, in
that West Coast system.
And then you just rip that band again.
Well, no, because you got to be like Kansas City. I see, ahoy! I see Kansas City! Arr! Fan the harpoon! The wind's blowing this way this year. The wind's blowing that way next year. Let's change everything.
Again.
I don't know why this team is 5-12. Can't figure it out.
Yeah, because that year.
And they're cheerleading this stuff, man. It's just.
Yeah, I know. That year they went, what was it? Yeah, there's a reason why they went 5-11. God. Okay, so this is 2019 offseason. Quarterback Joe Flacco, who they traded for.
Oh, your big buddy, I think it was Axe Jones. He was, I don't know what I'm talking about. This guy calls himself a guest, and all he was is a troll from day one. And tell me the virtues of Joe Flacco. And I said, this guy does not have an offensive line in front of him. He's a statue.
Old.
And they must listen to him. Somebody must be listening to me. Well, hold on. Somebody must be listening to me because it was the front office the coach, I think at the time was Gangarello said that, no, he's mobile. Don't worry. He's mobile. He's not mobile.
Hold on. Let me say this. What happened after that Colts game? Flacco called out the front office and the coaching staff.
Oh, that was all John Elway. I mean, he literally
called out Elway.
John Elway.
What happened after he called Elway? He got benched.
Yes.
You remember that? Axe
Jones? Yeah, because that's the way it works. Remember, we're crazy. We're bringing up the man that doesn't exist, but yet does exist.
Totally. Okay, so now the great Juwan James. God, who we were still paying 2 years.
Hot tub time machine.
Yeah, the great hot tub time machine that Randy Gregory got from. I've heard from multiple people. Even the guy that went on Cody Rourke and said that players get privileges when other players don't.
That's what I'm hoping Sean Payton ends. That's stuff he doesn't like.
What we've seen so far, he's in that shit. I mean, getting rid of the couches, getting rid of the basketball. I mean, he's not putting up with that shit.
Getting rid of Russell Wilson's personal.
One thing that he has said on multiple occasions, and I love listening to that guy. I follow him on a bunch of platforms because I just like the way he coaches and how tough he is on his players in a good way. What he said was, Juwan James was laughing at the Broncos when we gave him that huge deal. Same with Gregory. He said Gregory was laughing, saying, "Oh, I just set myself up for life now. I just got paid all this money for, basically nothing."
Yeah. Well, thank you, John. Thanks. Yeah.
Thanks, John. Okay, so corner, Kareem Jackson, who went to strong safety. I think that was a good move at the time, transitioning him into the strong safety position. I think Kareem Jackson was a very good player for the 3 years in Denver when he was still, good to, play. And then he kind of went downhill this past year because of his age. Bryce Callahan, I loved the move at the time. I think he was one of the better slot corners when healthy. And I think he was a better slot corner for the Broncos than Kwan Williams, in my opinion. I think Bryce Callahan was.
Well, and why was it that Kareem Jackson and why was it that Bryce Callahan, the talking front office out there, the PR front office machine, wanted to get rid of him? They weren't Elway front office guys. They were by the coaching staff.
They were Fangio.
Yeah.
And Ed Donatel. These are the draft picks. Tight end, Noah Fant. Dalton Reisner, I believe that was a Mike Munchak pick. Quarterback Drew Lock, who we just, hampered his development when he looked good in the Rich Scangarillo system. Draymond Jones, defensive tackle from Ohio State. Okay, you brought up something in our last video yesterday before it got, cut
disappeared.
Off, about how these players are privileged these days.
Yeah, yes.
You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, today these players, like Draymond Jones, is going to cry you a river, wanting to get paid as a player that can do it all. And he's not alone. I'm not just singling him out.
Well,
in the NFL, when you got John Elway up there, and he was your pick, you were his pick. Oh yeah, look, you owe it to me. I'm your pick. I'm your guy. So Bryce Callahan and Kareem Jackson, they didn't want anything to do. But Draymond Jones cannot do it all. He cannot do it all. He's a Robin to a Batman somewhere on a 4-3 defense. And guess where he went? Because we don't know what we're talking about. He goes to a 4-3 defense, 4-3 system.
In Seattle.
So I'm just sick and tired of hearing players who cannot do it all. Surtain, for instance, being put on these pedestals. Look, you had players who could do it all that never even came close to what players are getting paid today, who could do it all. And I just, you better be able to do it all if you want the accolades, Justin, or you want the pay, Draymond. You need to be able to do it all.
Not a Chris Jones, you're not a Kenny Clark, you're not a DeForest Buckner, you're none of those players. You're not even a Javon Hargrave.
Well, I don't think you're a Zach Allen.
Well, in a 3-4 system, yes, he is not. But again, Draymond Jones just comes from a long line of draft picks from Elway that got the special treatment in Valley. So, and now he's gone. Thank God. And I think Sean Payton had a lot to do with that too. I don't think he was a big fan. And I think
maybe him and maybe Jance Joseph didn't like that pick either.
Yep. I think he realized that he wasn't a fit in the 3-4 system that Vance Joseph wanted to utilize. And I think that is the main reason why Draymond Jones went to a 4-3 cover 3 system in Seattle.
I can't wait till you get to TJ Ward, what you had to say last, but go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'll hurry this up. Justin Hollins. I was a big fan of Justin Hollins coming out of Oregon. I think he would have been a good rotational pass rusher. He was basically a better version of your Malik Reed before Malik Reed came along. And again, I remember this to this day where they just tried to force him playing inside linebacker. And I'm like, he is not an inside linebacker. They tried to do the opposite of what they did with Baron Browning. And it didn't work out. And he went to the Rams, won a Super Bowl there. He's with the Packers, who's a rotational pass rusher behind Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary. So give me a break. So this is the 2018 offseason. Okay, I'll get through this. God, this fucking computer's pissing me off.
So you also, I don't know if we're going to have time to get into the film. We'll do a quick recap on your
Yeah. I'll hurry it up here. I'm sorry, I got it right here. Case Keenum, the quarterback, who we traded.
By the way, Case Keenum, once they drafted him into a Bill Musgrave system, that's when I decided I need to start a video channel because these people absolutely do not know what the fuck they're doing. And I really just felt bad. I mean, Elway didn't even know the guy's name. It's just so bad. It's just such dysfunction.
Jared Valdir, who we got from the Cardinals, I believe he was a good player for the 1 year that we had him. I thought he was a very solid piece for the Broncos.
Well, that's why you get rid of him.
Oh, of course. Clinton McDonald, who didn't do anything. Sua Cravens didn't do anything. Tremaine Brock didn't do anything.
Boy, they made a whole lot of noise about Sua Craven.
Yeah, look how that turned out. And then here's your punter, where Marquette King even came out on multiple interviews and said the Denver Broncos tried to change his punting style when he came to Denver from the Raiders, where he was one of the better punters in the league. And then the Broncos do exactly what they do best. They changed his punting style.
Can't understand why we're 5-11. I just don't get it. We on the off season, we won the Super Bowl.
I know. So draft picks. Bradley Chubb. I would have picked Quentin Nelson over Bradley Chubb. And remember, that is what wasn't it? That is what they wanted to do. I think that was Gary Kubiak. He was in that front office and he wanted Quentin Nelson. And then Elway's like, no. We're going to go get an edge rusher in Bradley Chubb. Courtland Sutton, who can't run routes and has totally lost what route running is because Sanders isn't in that building. Royce Freeman didn't do much. Isaac Yiadom, who's not even in the league anymore. Josie Jewell, Slowsy Jewell, Deshaun Hamilton, and Troy Fumagalli. And this was the offseason when we traded Aqib Talib, by the way. So what did Aqib Talib say on the way out? We're getting rid of the dogs.
Yeah. Before you get into that, I just want to say something about Josie Jewell.
Oh, God.
I think that had you drafted with the intention of maybe he's a special teams guy, that's could be a captain of a special team in a situation.
He could have been your Todd Davis, just like he was during that Super Bowl 50 run. He was behind Danny Trevathan and Brandon Marshall, and he was a good special teamer.
Yeah, that's he seems like a good fit for that. But again, I picked him. He's my pick. He's going to be, he's going to be getting beat over the top.
So I'll run through the 2017. I believe this was one of the worst off seasons I've ever seen from the Broncos. That 2017 off season. Donald Stevenson, Menelik Watson, Ron Leary. I'm a big fan of Zach Kerr. I think Zach Kerr is basically your Uzuriki, who is a good rotational defensive tackle. Domata Peko, at the time, I liked the move because I believe on a 1-year deal, he was basically a guy that is strictly a run stuffer. But I think, adding him in that middle of the defense, I think helped the Broncos' run stuffing ability, just like DJ Jones. I think DJ Jones is a younger version of Domata Peko. Domata Peko was a very good player for that year. Then after his first year in Denver, he just went downhill from there. So here's the great draft class. We picked Garrett Bowles over Ryan Ramczyk.
Like I said before, they just they were just falling over themselves on how Ramczyk, and this includes Mark Schlereth at the time, sticking up for his buddy Elway that, no, Garrett Bowles, man, Garrett Bowles this, Garrett Bowles that. And Ramczyk is going to be a Hall of Famer. Is that what you said? It's going to be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's going to be a Hall of Famer.
So you were wrong again, front office, as you always are.
DeMarcus Walker, Carlos Henderson, who didn't even last 2 years in Denver. He's a receiver out of LA Tech. Cornerback Brendan Langley. Okay, tight end Jake Butt. This guy got a lot of shit in Denver, but I believe if he didn't get that significant injury in college, I believe he would have been a very good blocking-centric tight end for the Broncos. He would have been a good possession tight end for the Broncos. You could use him in the red zone. You could use him in the short yardage situations. I liked Jake Butt coming out of Michigan, but again, the problem was his injury history, like KJ Hamler, like all these others. So They need to get away from those injury-prone college prospects. They need to get to where they can find solid draft.
Well, Hamler, I mean, in our defense, Hamler was never really in college in injury. He didn't really become injury until he came here.
Yeah. And then wide receiver Isaiah McKenzie, who again was underutilized in Denver, used the wrong way, went to the Buffalo Bills where they covet player development, looked very good. The rest is history. So those are 2022 through 2017.
Just why we're at in the hill we got to climb, the positions we got to fill. You did your draft. Let's get into this. You did your player. You've been scouting players and doing film. If you just want to go over a little bit of that.
Okay, so I did a day ago. I did Luke Weipler out of Ohio State. Again, it's really funny because after I did a film review or a film breakdown on that, the Mile High Report and Mile High Huddle, they did an article saying how Luke Weipler would be a great center for the Broncos.
But you said no because why?
Well, I said no because he doesn't fit the Sean Payton offense. He is a West Coast agile center. He would fit better in a San Francisco scheme, an LA Rams, a Arthur Smith in Atlanta, Green Bay with Matt LaFleur. Teams like that run that West Coast zone run principle.
Maybe the Jets.
Jets too with Hackett. I also did Peter Skoronski, who we have no chance of getting. He's the most refined tackle in this draft. I believe he has the highest floor, but the highest ceiling in this draft, if taken the right coaching, Paris Johnson Jr. out of Ohio State. I mean, this guy's an absolute stud. I mean, Peter Skoronski is somewhat of a version of a Rashawn Slater. I wouldn't say he is as good as Slater, but the difference between Slater and Skoronski is very technical in his game. Slater had a little bit more technique work to do, but once he got to the NFL, he obviously, you saw that just take off. Paris Johnson reminds me, Paris Johnson is a good player. I love Paris Johnson out of Ohio State. He has a high ceiling in this. If he goes to the Eagles or he goes to a good offensive line coach and they utilize his ability he could be the best tackle in this draft. He could be the best tackle in this draft if he goes to the proper organization.
When it's all said and done.
Yeah. Jordan Rhodes, I did a film review on him. Big fan of Jordan Rhodes. I believe
how could the Broncos use Jordan Rhodes?
I would use Jordan Rhodes in a guard role. I would have Ben Powers as my left guard, Quinton Miners as my center, and Jordan Rhodes as my right guard.
We've been saying that Miners could actually be your center, and what you could do is get another guard.
When he was at the Senior Bowl, he played a lot of center, and he was very good at that too. I love Quinton Miners at center. I think that would be an excellent move for the Denver Broncos. Katie Davis, I did a film review on him. I think he fits more of what Kansas City runs. He's more of that off-ball, linebacker. He was a first-team All-Conference USA. He's a very good player. I just don't think that he fits what the Denver Broncos do defensively. Zion Nelson out of Miami. I've heard mixed reviews on him nationally. I'm a big fan of Zion Nelson. I think that Zion Nelson, again, could be a very good swing tackle for you. Again, will he be there in the third round? That is a wait and see for me. I've seen a lot of people say he is a third round pick. He is a second round pick, late second round pick. It's just going to depend on who wants him and what system he goes to. Zion Nelson, to me, is more of that athletic offensive tackle prospect more than anything. But I like Zion Nelson. I think that if he would fit. He would fit a San Francisco. He would fit a Los Angeles Rams. He would fit the Jets. Just, if he goes to the right organization, just like Paris Johnson, he could be a very good, serviceable player for you. DeMarvin Overshown, I've seen the Broncos look at this guy. I did a film review for him out of the University of Texas. Again, the worry I have for him is they want to use him as a standing outside linebacker. I don't think that's DeMarvin Overshown. I think DeMarvin Overshown would fit what the Eagles run. He would fit what the the Seattle Seahawks run,
Seattle Seahawks.
4-3 concepts. If the Broncos draft him and expect him to be a Baron Browning-esque outside linebacker, I think that's going to be a massive failure on the Denver Broncos' part, and that's not.
They will be getting back into front office territory.
Yeah, I wouldn't like the pick because he doesn't fit what we do.
Let me ask you this: do we have anybody on your radar that you could get? Oh God, I mean, who's not going to be gone with that other third round pick if you don't trade the third round pick to the Raiders for 5 extra picks? You know, some stupid.
What position are you specifically asking for?
Interior defensive lineman, not edge. Interior, push up the middle. Malik Jackson. Who could possibly be your Malik Jackson?
Keep talking. I'm
in the 6th round. 5th round, something like that, to give you that push up the middle.
Keep talking.
Because, okay, well, I'm going to say this. Reason why the front office doesn't covet what the good teams in the NFL covet is push up the middle, because that helps your corners out, that helps your safeties out, that helps your linebacking out, that helps your edge rushers out. Push up the middle is, and always will be, kryptonite to quarterbacks who cannot step up in the pocket, like we've seen time and time again with the Denver defense, and make those throws. So what I want to know is, do we have anybody on the interior that will supplement a Malik Jackson type? Could turn out to be a Chris Jones type. What do you got?
So I have 2 guys. A guy that I'm a big fan of is Kenai Benton out of the University of Wisconsin. He's 6'4", 309 pounds. The thing about this guy is, yes, his specialty is run defense, but I think he can grow into a guy that could be a very good. We talk about DJ Jones. DJ Jones is starting to get up there in age. I think Kenai Benton can be that replacement for a DJ Jones. I like Kenai Benton. I love Wisconsin prospects, especially on the defensive line. Benton is a guy for me. Also, another guy that I like, this guy's 6'4", 273, and I'm going to do a film review on him. I've been meaning to do one on him, so bear with me. Colby Wooden from Auburn. I love this guy a lot. Let me go through my notes and tell you guys my strengths here for him. He is a very good player. Here are my notes on him. As a pass rushing specialist on the interior defensive line, Wooden shows quickness off the line and has fluid athleticism and flexibility to bend the edge. You could put him outside, but again, I think his strength is a 3-tech defensive lineman. Combines excellent power with initial quickness, but one of the best attributes are his violent hands, which he uses with impressive precision. So what I mean by that is he is an excellent bull rusher. He's your Malik Jackson. If you want to get a guy in that 3rd round that I believe
I'm frozen. Hey, keep talking. Oh, God, she's really screwing this up. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You're
okay,
black.
Just keep going. I got to do something. God.
Okay. Shows a natural feel for setting up blockers and getting them off balance. His hands are active and violent, like I said, and he quickly disengages with blockers and counters when his initial move stalls. He's very good with his hands. Like he is a technician when it comes to his hand placement. How violent he is with his hands. He's flexible enough to bend the edge. Like I said, you can move him outside, but I believe he would fit that 3-tech on the opposite end. You have Colby Wooden, I believe, and you have DJ Jones and Zach Allen on your interior. You can help develop a guy, a technician with a high motor. He has a variety of moves and displays exceptional good hand use, one shows a strong finishing burst, and has the power to hold at the point of attack as a run defender. So he can grow into something. I like Colby Wooden out of the University of Auburn. So that is a guy that you could look for in this draft. Those are my notes on him. Another guy that I think would be a very good guy to get, Gravon Dexter. He's falling on draft boards, I've noticed. He could be there in the 3rd round. He's 6'6", 310 pounds. You add Gravon Dexter. I did a film review on him. I'm a big fan of Gravon Dexter Sr. out of the University of Florida. You line him on the 3-tech. He is 6'6", 310, like I said, if you didn't hear. He's a hell of a player. I like Gravon Dexter a lot, and he could be there in the third round. So those are a few guys that you could look at in this year's draft from third round perspective.
Okay, I haven't got anything to say. I want you to talk about, you're going to do a film review, and
I'm going to do a mock draft. I think that's going to be my next project. I'm going to do a mock on realistic expectations.
Well, you better hurry up. Your draft is coming. So
oh, it's next week. I have enough time.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll link to that. Awesome. What else do you want to say?
That's it for me. Like I said, we'll see what the Broncos do. Very curious to see how they use these third round picks. Jordan, if you get a Jordan Rhodes and you get Jordan Rhodes with that first third round pick, and then you go out and get a defensive lineman like a Colby Wooden, a Gravon Dexter, Kenai Benton from Wisconsin, those 2 third round picks I think could be major steals if they do it correctly. If you're going to go out and get a fucking edge, and you're going to go out and get a corner or receiver like Broncos.
If you're going to go Elway as usual, front office as usual for the last 6 years, game over. I think a lot of people are sick and tired of it. I think that even the front office mockingbirds have to actually admit that things are on the winds of change are coming. But we said that has to happen to run that Sean Payton offense. We said that because we're trying to give Russell Wilson every ounce of opportunity to make this offense serviceable, because I think it's going to have to supplement the defense we talked about that more in depth last video. But I got to get off this because she's going to screw this up again if I don't. I mean,
I'm sorry.
Call the phone, but no, don't listen. Just like so many people don't. Whatever you do, don't listen.
No, don't. Do the opposite of what makes sense.
Yeah. All right. I apologize to everybody about that. Apparently, it says it's still recording, so I think we're okay.
Hopefully.
I'm going to hang this up before something screws it up, because we really are going over. So.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to your mock draft. You're the draft guy. You're the college scout. So that's beyond my pay grade. So I'm going to let you do that, and we'll link to it.
All right. Sweet.
All right. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Right, bye.